Welcome everybody back to the first gen farm here on American Farming. We're just finishing up on a grain contract, so we'll meet you guys back at the co-op and we're gonna start explaining some finances. To start things off, we do have 1,200 bushels of corn that we're going to need to pull out of that bid site, which why on earth am I not just taking a truckload in with this? I'm going to talk to them at the office about that. If we can do that, that'll save us some time. But we have $23,000. It was about an $8,000 contract that we got the money for, but we did finally pay the chemical bill to the co-op, and that was about another $1,200 and some chunk change that came out of my account. We do have some tillage that we're going to need to take care of today, and the biggest thing is that NH3 bar sitting off to my left. Arthur says he's going to be going with his ripper, so he'll be getting some primary tillage in. If I could learn how to sweet talk Arthur enough, I'd try and see if he'd let me use it on my ground. We've had a very mild winter so far, but we are supposed to get a really hard cold blast in the next few weeks, and we don't really want to run the tillage equipment in frozen ground. It's just excess wear. I got to go check if we can use the truck to go grab some grain. Wish me luck. That is an affirmative. There are no more contracts that need to be fulfilled until probably mid next week. So we'll grab one full trailer from this, and then my gravity wagon is already stationed back at the house, and we'll grab the remaining 100 bushel because I believe this trailer holds 1,100. While we get the grain bin system shuffled around, if you guys would like to help get Squad Farms into the algorithm once more, and you want to follow us, be sure to head down below, smash that like button, click the subscribe button, and also sound that bell. We love having you guys tune in to the first gen farm and the now also released big time operator. We're going to have a dairy farm add into that at some point, but kind of waiting on a couple things in order to start that farm up. From Arthur's harvest, we ended up getting 2,683 bushels that we put into this bin site. We never did dry it, but out of all of the crop that we harvested with Arthur, since his machines were not in the area, I got to keep 45%. That's how we got the 1,200 bushel that I get to take home. Arthur feeds the corn to his cattle up north, which is why we never dried it, but I'm certainly going to dry it because I want to get a higher price for it when we sell it at the market. Thank you, Arthur. Let's take it to the bin site and get the dryer fired up. This isn't something we do every time, but I kind of like doing a Squad Farms question of the day, and that is, what is your guys' preferred brand of semi? The co-op runs a Kenworth T800. I am personally a brand overall Peterbilt guy, but my personal favorite semi is a Western Star 4900 Lomax. We won't be selling our grain until about July, so all of our already dried stuff is going to mix with the wet, and I hope that helps dry it out a little faster. I could tell my driveway was not really meant to have one of these big trucks go through it. That's all right. We can figure it out. I really got to take that one bushel of beans in just so I can have my secondary bin. Screw it. We'll pull the truck around and try and load it. Come here, bean. Yeah. If this singular bushel of bean in the back of my truck gets me any more than 15 bucks, I think I'm going to probably laugh. Moment of truth. $11. That's sad. That pays for like a third of the fuel that I had to put in my truck this morning. At least now we have another open bin. With all the grain work done, I want to shift over to the 715 quad track and get started on the NH3 application. If I end up getting a call later this afternoon from Arthur, we might go out and help him, but I already have all of my fields tilled up with my disc. It's not that I need to use that ripper that he's got, but if I wanted to get a crop yield boost for next season, I'd have to have him go through there before I do this. Or maybe I don't. I'm not 100% sure. I'd prefer he did it first. With a full tank of NH3 and hopes for a great return next season, let's migrate our way over to my first field. We'll get started with the field on the east side, and ooh, by the looks of it, Arthur is out doing the tillage. That's his grandson, Kyle. I'm not certain, but it could be. Let's get started with this, and we will be ready for corn come spring. I adore using this anhydrous toolbar. I really wish that I had some money to be able to afford one, but even if I could, I do not even have a tractor that could come close to pulling this. So big thanks to the co-op for once again bailing my rear end out by letting me use the 715. This is easily the most expensive thing they let me borrow in a year's time. The little old farm all with our front loader is still posted up in the shed. We did a lot of work over this last few weeks, rerouting and redoing all of the hydraulic hoses and new fittings, as well as really looking into the engine and seeing where some of the leaks are coming from. It's not really that expensive because there's not a lot of parts to look at, but that should be up and running by springtime if we are to start looking into the cattle market. Arthur, again, he's going to be a pretty big help on that. I just have to find a cattle trailer first. Hay ground is a go. And one thing to note that I was told by the guys at Squad Built, apparently they reworked the fertilizer system, so now I believe if you spread it with P and K, the grass actually does use fertilizer. Like, you can fertilize grass now. That is something that I've heard. I'm not exactly sure which way it's done, but that is something you can do now. Whatever it is, I'm excited for, because that means I make more money on my hay. We couldn't spread any fertilizer right now because it wouldn't really be effective because everything's all dormant. But that is something come early spring that I want to try and knock out early, so when we start having all of the showers in April and May, we can get ahead of the curve and be ready to go for maybe not first cutting, but second cutting. We will really be on it. I'm really kind of curious as to what Arthur's setup is over there. We might grab the drone at some point and go look at him. That way we could be a normal civil human being and actually go talk to him face to face. That'd be too convenient though. I think we might grab Daryl, put him up in the cab so we can go over and find out who's in the Versatile. That way I could possibly try and work out some deals to use some of his equipment. Bye, Daryl. Ooh, he might need to run a finisher over the top of this. This is some pretty rough dirt. It is January, so the soil is pretty hard. Oh yeah, that's Arthur. Hi, Arthur. Bye, Arthur. Looks to be a Case IH Ripper. I thought he had a Landau. I mean, it breaks up the soil real nice, but again, when you're working with soil that kind of already has a bit of a frost layer on it, you're going to get some massive clumps regardless if you have the rollers or not. I wonder if you want me to run my little disc over the top of it, see if we can break up some of these clumps. Let me see if I can flag him down and ask him. Got any room up there? You got a pretty nice looking setup here, Arthur. Question, are you planning to run some sort of a disc or like a tiger bait over the top of this to break up some of the clumps, or are you just gonna leave it with the Ripper? You're gonna come back? Okay. I mean, I still got my little wing disc I can put behind my 1206 if you want me to come in here and do that. Just promise me a 55% cut next year. You'd consider it. Hey, that's better than what I thought I'd be able to get. Tell you what, I will send Daryl to the south field with the quad track. That way he can get started with my anhydrous on the last field I own, and I'll just bring over the 1206 and you can carry on with your day. That work? Heck yeah. All right. Thanks, Arthur. I'll try and, migrate my way back over. Have fun. He's just going to try and finish up on the headlands and kind of these weird rows. GPS hasn't been calibrated on that tractor yet, so he's kind of doing it by feel. Daryl's got to be close on finishing up the NH3, and before I can't get any content, I got to get my butt with the drone so we can catch NH3 being put in that field, tillage being done in this field, and Arthur's going to head north, so I'll have to take the pickup when I go and grab that last 100 bushel from his bin, and we'll catch some of his stuff going on up top.
I want you here with me. Am I out of my mind? Or is this how it should be? You made me sing about love.
That concludes our NH3 application. I don't have any other land that I'm going to rent out quite yet. Just kind of trying to work the deal with Arthur as best as we can. Daryl swapped me places on the 1206 and he is ripping away with that disc. Holy cow, he is moving. Arthur already migrated north to his other field, getting started with that. I'm going to grab the 6.0 so we can haul in that last 100 bushel of corn, and I have yet to turn on the corn dryer. Dang it. That's okay. If we get contracted out to do Arthur's work with the NH3 at some point, then cool, but for the meantime, we ain't got anything else to do with these guys. I've really been adoring this truck since I put the flatbed on it. We haven't gotten to use it to its fullest extent. If I'd have the ability to put on a transfer tank or a small toolbox on the front, I would. But the truck just rides smoother. It feels better. I got a bit worse fuel economy, obviously, because that bed's a lot heavier than my traditional one. But I think that was a really, really solid investment, and RCC did a fantastic job on it. It's made transporting grain a heck of a lot faster. That is a certain. If I was using the bigger Brent 500 wagon, then that might be a different story because we'd have to put some additional weights on it. But for what we're trying to do, this just speeds up transporting grain back and forth so much faster, so much more efficient. You just can't really say it any simpler than that. I just have to remember to cut it off at about a third on my fill level. And boop. Nope, nope, no, 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 stop, 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 stop. But that didn't work. I thought you could shut it off when you were mid-dump. We'll try and dump 2/3 of it back in and just pull over the top of the thing so it shuts off. We're not going to cheat Arthur like that. I'm not that bad of a person. At least yet. And pull forward. Well, now I need to get more. There we go. Now we're good. Might be a little closer to half, but I think that's all right. Kind of feel bad I haven't mentioned anything about the wheat crop that we had planted. It is doing fantastic, and I'm still kind of mad at myself that I never did plant that 4th field down at the bottom left like I said I would. But we live and we learn. Sometimes I just take longer on the learning department. After it's all said and done, I think we're going to have about 2,800 bushels worth of corn in the bins, which sounds perfectly all right to me. That's going to bring us some decent money. Okay, maybe not as close as I thought it would, but just a couple shy of 2,400. That's pretty good. The moisture level, that needs work as well. Dryer is a go. I think we'll leave the wagon behind the grain bins. It's kind of a easy place to find it when you need to go unload. I think that just about covers everything we need to do on the homestead. It sounds like Daryl finished up with the 1206, so if that is the case, I might migrate my way up to Arthur's field. So let's give it a whirl and try and bring things home and wrap it up. I was correct, but this tractor's going to need some fuel, and we are definitely getting that before we head north. I'm pretty sure that Ripper is a little bit smaller than this, so giving him some extra time to get ahead of us is really going to help. You can't hire 2 AI in the same field to my knowledge, but that's alright because I haven't really gotten to do a whole bunch of the old school farming today where we don't rely on GPS. I'm just going to do this the old-fashioned way. Guts, grits, and probably some swearing. I think he's on his final pass of the headlands. Usually tillage, you end up doing the insides first and then you go to the outside for compaction reasons, but it's okay. Now that I look at it, I do believe I am a little bit wider, but I also can run my job a lot faster. So it's a good thing we gave him some time to get ahead, but I still have plenty of rounds to do if I want to catch up with him. Besides the P&K and nitrogen application, this ground should yield a very good return next season. Arthur's going to do the same as I am and run corn on corn. So sadly to all of our bean farmers out there, we're not going to be doing any soybeans unless Arthur decides to plant something else around his ground into beans. Then we can help him out with that in the fall. I will have you guys know I figured this out. This is just a fun fact. A 50-20 is actually lighter than a 1206. Curb weight, when you look it up, a 50-20, I think they said is only like 8,000 pounds without the weights on it. And a 1206 without the weights on it is like 10,000 pounds. So the argument that a 50-20 is an absolute weight slug is kind of irrelevant, but I think maybe the 1206 just happened to have a better powertrain. I still want to get a 50-20, but I'd have it be turboed. Because a stock one, I believe that's why they said they were gutless for the amount of weight they were. Yep, he is most certainly starting his rows. So thank you, Arthur. We'll be right behind you as fast as we can. And remember to keep it light, keep it loose, keep it fresh. Most importantly, keep it fun. This is the Squad Farms out. Peace.